What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Sewell at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, Alabama, and we've got 2022 CX-5 specs and pricing. The Carbon Edition is alive and well. However, it's not exactly the Carbon that we know. We're going to jump in this and more on this edition of Mazda News Update. Stay tuned. I love getting the official documentation from Mazda because that means that production is right around the corner. So I believe it's actually starting next month, which means we could see the 22 CX-5s as early as late January, but probably early February. But still, that's something great to be excited about. But they kind of did a turnover and a flip around and all that other stuff in this information. So we're going to jump right in, and I'll try to keep it kind of bulleted so that we don't go too long and too in depth, and we can always come back and follow up on later videos. But we're going to start with the trim nomenclature, or the different grades, and this is a little bit of a shakeup. So we no longer will have the Sport, the Touring, the Grand Touring, the Grand Touring Reserve as we've known them. We're following in suit with the Mazda 3 and the CX-30. The Sport is now the 2.5S. The Touring is now the 2.5S Select package. The Touring Preferred SV, or really just the Touring Preferred, is now the 2.5S Preferred package. The Carbon Edition, yes, is back, thank goodness, is now the 2.5S Carbon Edition. The GT becomes the 2.5S Premium package. The GT with Premium package becomes the 2.5S Premium Plus package. And of course, we know the Grand Touring Reserve becomes the 2.5 Turbo, and the Signature is now the 2.5 Turbo Signature. So a lot of changes, a lot of shakeup, but this actually helps us keep better understanding of which vehicle has which equipment, because we don't really have any official quote-unquote add-on packages. They're called packages, but they're standard equipment. So we can keep these a little bit easier, the differences a little bit easier to file up here in the old noodle. As I mentioned, the Carbon Edition is here. However, if you notice, it's not a 2.5 Turbo Carbon Edition. So the Carbon Edition will not be offered in a turbo. Also, there'll be some content changes on that we'll mention in just a few minutes. But I'm just excited for polymetal gray, red leather, and of course black leather with red stitching. So those things come along, and I'm thankful for that. However, I do think that we will see some different wheels. 19-inch wheels will be different, just from the turbo that we've seen some press release production photos on. I think those will be the same wheels on the Carbon Edition, and we will be seeing a new darker tint 17-inch standard wheel. So a few other differences there. All right, let's jump into pricing. So the just for comparison, a 2021 Sport front-wheel drive base MSRP was $25,370. Now all-wheel drive, a 2.5S is $25,900. So that's a $530 difference. $530 for all-wheel drive, basically. So not too shabby. However, we are also seeing a delivery and destination increase. We had a mid-year change, so I think this increase is somewhere around $130. If I can remember from the last increase, it's $1,225 total, which brings your total price change to $660 US. Still not so bad, considering you're picking up all-wheel drive and also picking up the new bumper, grill, all those new fascia items and upgrades. So new style and all-wheel drive, which is awesome, and it's the latest edition of the iActive all-wheel drive. We also saw some other model changes as far as prices. So the biggest changes that you'll see is the 2.5 turbos and the 2.5, the turbo and the turbo signature. They both increased about $1,000. Those were turbo all-wheel drive before. The biggest differences that you'll see really is the painted flares. So the turbo is going to be gloss black all the way around, and the signature, the turbo signature, will be color keyed. So whether that's your snowflake white pearl, machine gray, whatever color, it'll match around on the cladding over the wheels and around the bottom of the bumper. Okay, we already talked about some of the changes specifically with the carbon not getting the turbo, which is okay. However, the biggest complaint of 2021 I ever heard or always heard was the Bose system in the Carbon Edition with no satellite radio. I agree 100% with you. That was nonsense. So how did Mazda respond? The Bose system is out altogether. So no longer will you have the Bose in the previous Touring with package, which is now our preferred, or the Carbon Edition. You have to go, again, similar to the 21 CX-30, you have to go to the premium to get the Bose and satellite radio. That's a change that I'm sure you guys won't be too happy with. However, you will have a moonroof in the Carbon and the preferred, again, similar to the CX-30. Also, as we've noticed from those production pictures, there's no fog lights. All LED fog lights have been removed, and I believe that's because of the new fascia design, but also it could be because of this chip shortage. They could be trying to eliminate the use of chips, which is what Mazda mentioned earlier in some direct-to-dealer correspondence. So it could be. Also on the turbo models, we'll have a wireless phone charger, which I'm excited about, and on the signature, traffic jam assist. One thing that I didn't mention is that just like the previous 21 CX-5, you will have a power rear liftgate on the preferred and higher. So the preferred is just like the preferred package on the Touring before. So preferred and higher, you will have moonroof and rear power liftgate. Again, no Bose, but you do have a rear power liftgate on more models than the CX-30, which is good. One thing that I have not been able to find by digging in here is I know that in Japan they're going to have a hands-free rear liftgate option, so foot activated. I don't see it in this information here, so I don't think it's coming to the US, which would have been nice even if it was just on the signature model, but I don't see it. Now let's talk about colors, and this is pretty interesting because we never saw any new colors listed by name or in pictures when they unveiled the enhancements for, or the refresh for the 22 CX-5. Then overseas, you saw the beautiful zircon sand metallic and platinum quartz. So in my mind, zircon sand was just coming, and then we were kind of also boosted up with seeing it on the release of the CX-50. However, we will not see zircon sand nor platinum quartz on the 22 CX-5. I guess whatever works for you, Mazda. So we will have our traditional colors. Nothing's changed on the CX-5. We have snowflake white pearl, polymetal gray on the Carbon only, jet black mica, deep crystal blue, eternal blue, sonic silver, machine gray metallic, and of course soul red crystal metallic. Now as we look inside at those interior options, all those colors stay the same as well, with one exception, and we'll get to it in just a minute. So your 2.5S, just like on the CX-30, just like on the Sport CX-5 before it, is all black. The Select package or the Touring is going to have black or silk beige. The Preferred package is going to have black or silk beige. Again, those are leatherettes. However, the 2.5S Preferred, just like the Preferred SV, is listed as a leather, so I'm believing it to be all leather. However, it's throwing me off a little bit by calling it silk beige, so we'll just have to wait and see when one comes in. Of course, the Carbon Edition's red leather or black leather. The Premium, formerly the GT, is leather as well, black or parchment. The Premium Plus, GT Premium previously, is black or parchment. Here's where the change comes. The 2.5 turbo will be in black with red stitching and parchment with red stitching. That'll be interesting. Parchment with red stitching. So we'll check that out. Be sure to, hopefully if we can order one, I'll be interested to see what it looks like. Of course, you'll have all the black, all the gloss black on the outside, but some people like that light interior, so parchment with red stitching. We'll see how that works out. Then, of course, the 2.5 turbo signature will be Caturra Brown. So not many changes at all except for the parchment with red stitching. What I'm probably most excited about, since the zircon sand didn't happen, is the performance enhancements coming from this new all-wheel drive platform, or CX-5 crossover offering for 2022. What I did not expect is that we're also seeing a little bump in the turbo performance. So the 2.5 turbo and 2.5 turbo signature, both now with 93 octane, get 6 more horsepower. So 256 horsepower. And I expect that to trickle down to every 22. So CX-50, CX-30, CX-9, perhaps we'll see this 256 horsepower, which is fantastic. The torque ratings don't change, so still standard with 310, then with Premium 320, and the 2.5S, there's no change in it as well, so 187 horsepower, 186 foot-pounds of torque. Also, the MI drive, but it's MI, I guess, according to Dave Coleman. The MI drive will be standard on premiums and higher. So premiums and up get the MI drive. So that means instead of just normal and sport, you get normal, sport, and off-road. So excited for this feature, so you can actually dial in a little bit more to tell the vehicle that, hey, we're off-road. So anything outside of pavement, flip it into off-road, or toggle actually in that switch to off-road, and you'll be good to go. The last thing I want to touch on today is some of the spec differences. So there are some exterior dimensional changes and some interior dimensional changes. The first thing is that the wheelbase and track are staying the same as 21. The change comes in the overall length and the overall width. So the overall length is actually extending by an inch, probably because of those new fascias. So it's 180.1 inches when previously it was 179.1. And the overall width is 0.1 wider. So it's 72.6 instead of 72.5. What I'm really excited about as we're pushing towards all-wheel drive, as far as these specs here, is we do have higher ground clearance. So the minimum ground clearance, the carbon and below, is 7.6 inches. So that's up from 7.5. But where the rubber meets the road is the premium and higher is 7.9. So it's going up as well, and I appreciate that as we're kind of gearing towards more all-wheel drive. It probably has something to do with that MI drive also. They're just making it more off-road capable all the way around. The last change, no interior changes as far as driving positions, height, shoulder width, all that stuff, hip, but we do see a change in cargo volume. If the Japan models and videos like you see here are applicable in the US, which I believe they will be, the lower floor actually will lift up to be flush. So for like tailgating or different events outside off-road where you might not have a spot to sit down, you can raise a different tier of the floor in the rear above the spare tire, as you can see in this video, and sit flush so you won't have that uncomfortable seat there. That changes the cargo volume slightly. So with all seats upright, so the second row up, with the floorboard up, it's 29.1. Last year's, which didn't change, was 30.9. Now, we do see a change with that floorboard down, which is standard. it loses 0.1 inch of cargo volume, which I don't believe is that big of a deal. However, with the second row seats down, you also see a change to 58.1 with that floor up, and you're losing about 2 inches all the way across. So you can see how that makes a difference. And then with the floorboard down or standard, it's 59.3, which is 0.3 of an inch less. So a little bit less cargo. I'm not too worried about this because we really didn't have enough cargo in the CX-5 to begin with, but I do think that difference of raising that floor height will be big for those who want to tailgate or want to do more outdoor activities in their all-wheel drives. That's all the information I have so far on the 22 Mazda CX-5. I'll keep digging in. There was 18 pages of stuff that Mazda sent, so a lot of it I skimmed through, but I'll go back through it. If there's some things I missed, we'll follow up on the next video. So that means, again, that production is starting in December. We may see this at the end of January. I'll know more when allocations of December happen, but probably going to be more like February. So that means we could see the 22 CX-5 in February and the 23 CX-50 in March. So that would be an awesome back-to-back release of Mazda crossovers. Before we finish up this video, if you'll take a peek down below, I believe you may see some Jonathan Sewell sales, more car vids, Mazda news update, merch. Just see something that you might like, check it out, and I always appreciate your support. And thank you so much again for 5 million views. This is an unbelievable ride, and I'm just glad I'm able to share my Mazda passion with more passionate folks like you. So stay tuned for these videos. Click through for more information on the most recent video and the CX-50. And I'll be here on the boulevard listening, reading, finding out more information about Mazda for you to share on the channel, which means I'll see you on the next one.